This week on commandN, Firefox 3, sites to find your next job, and Surge Protectors 101. Welcome to episode 138 of commandN. I'm Amber.
I'm Will Pate.
And it's starting to rain outside, and I think this is Will's luck.
Yes.
Sorry, Will. You like shooting inside, though.
I like shooting where the weather is good. Be it inside, be it outside, doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. And the only thing is when it's one of these days like today where it's a little rainy and it's a little windy, we have audio problems and our hair is blowing around. And so it's good once in a while to come inside and have, just peace so we can focus on excellent tech content.
And good hair days.
Good hair days. I can't say that because I have my hair in a ponytail, which is definitely symbolic of a bad hair day for a woman. All right, let's talk about the tech headlines of the week. The biggest tech headline this past week has been Firefox 3. I'm sorry that you didn't make it to the Firefox 3 party in Toronto. It was a good night.
Yeah.
There were cupcakes, there was lots of geek talk, and everybody was really excited about Firefox 3. For people who haven't had a chance to check it out, I want to kind of highlight some of the top benefits of Firefox 3. I would say that it's faster, it's better looking. As someone said at the party last night, it has really cute back buttons.
Ooh.
I don't know, kind of interesting. And also, it's easier now to bookmark items in Firefox 3, which was one of the big pains of mine as far as using that as a web browser.
It works a lot better on Mac, too. I've been using the betas for a while now, and the difference between Firefox 2 and Firefox 3 in the Mac is night and day.
So are you a Firefox user?
I've used so many different browsers, I can't really pick one.
See, you guys who can't commit to browsers, I just don't get it.
Well, I've always been a Firefox fan, like ever since Firefox first came out, back when it was Firebird, back when it was Phoenix before that. And then I worked at Flock, so I fell in love with Flock, and then Safari's good, and then I'm always having to check sites and stuff, so I always have 30 browsers open.
I understand. Well, we've had a long history with Firefox. I remember when Firefox 1.0 came out, we had an interview with Mike Shaver from Mozilla, and so we've always kind of followed along with what they're doing, and I say this is one of the best versions yet, and you should definitely try it out. And other news, I think all I have to do is look over at Will Pate's t-shirt.
Guess who's going open source? These guys. That's right. Reddit's going open source. So they released their source code for the public. They kept a couple things in there having to do with spam protection and stuff. But what they want to do is they want to get the community to give them feedback on how they can make the software better, including stuff like the gaming algorithm, which is kind of interesting because usually a site like Dig tries very hard to protect that because they don't want people to abuse it. But Reddit's going to take the other approach, go open and see if they can't fix those problems faster than they arise.
Now, I have to bring this up because just before we started shooting the show, you said, I love Reddit, I use it all the time.
I do.
You're addicted to it.
I am. I'm totally addicted to Reddit, and I'm sure if the guys at Reddit looked at my little user history, they'd be like, this dude has a problem.
Could you explain Reddit for someone who doesn't know what it is?
Sure, yeah. I mean, Reddit's very similar to Dig. It's a news site where people vote on stories. I like it because they're what called subreddits, and you can actually create your own now. And so if you wanted to create a commandN subreddit, wink, or an Amber Mac subreddit, double wink, you could create one, and then people vote on the stories. So I use it to check on stuff like politics, cognitive science, technology, anything you're interested in. You can even do nanotech or just anything. You've got this kind of customized little website to find cool news on it.
Good stuff. I might get addicted myself, I have to say, anytime now. Now, in other news, this is kind of an interesting story. I read it on the BBC News website, and they talked about the oldest computer music that was just discovered. It's from the early 1950s. It was found in a university in the UK, and it's actually a scratchy version of Ba Ba Black Sheep. I know, it's kind of funny. Will's like, what?
No, I'm wondering how long between today and someone remixes that into some cool nerdcore rap.
Ooh, we should get someone I love BradSucks.net. He is a great artist. He does tons of amazing remixes. He's from Ottawa, so maybe I'll send him a link because on the BBC website they have an actual audio version of Ba Ba Black Sheep. Maybe he could mix it up and then we can play it on the next episode.
I think we need to steal Colbert's thing and just kind of start doing challenges and make people make cool stuff.
That's a good idea. Actually, I should have mentioned when we talked about Firefox 3 that I was watching the Colbert Report when Firefox 3 came out, and Colbert said, I'm going to give Firefox 3 the Colbert bump, and I thought that's pretty impressive. Now, we have some bad news about copyright once again in Canada.
Well, it's actually a bit of good news. The Canadian government has tabled a new copyright bill, and unfortunately it's not a great bill. But there's a new site that created a place where Canadians can actually submit a letter to their MP and it copies the Minister of Industry on that. So I encourage all of our Canadian viewers to go on the site, check out the link in the details of the show, and submit a letter to your MP and let them know that you're not happy with the way things are going.
And you know what? This bill is also making a lot of noise south of the border because people are saying that it's worse than the DCMA in the United States. So, DMCA in the United States. So people should read up about it. It's very interesting. I mentioned last week, check out michaelgeist.ca. He's always has great links, and make sure that you check out this petition as well.
Absolutely. And there was a great comic that someone did very recently on it too, so maybe we'll throw that in the show notes.
Ooh,
too.
That's a good idea. I like comics. Now, for another site that I'm not addicted to, although I'm trying very hard to get addicted to it, it's LinkedIn. And obviously LinkedIn has tons of users, and they were just valued at $1 billion. Now, I don't know if it's just me, but I can't get hooked on LinkedIn. It's a place where you can develop your professional network of people. You would list what occupations you've had, and it's really more of a networking at kind of just at a business level, I would say, versus being entirely social.
Yeah, and actually the one thing that I really, really like about LinkedIn and the new feature they've rolled out is called Answers. So you basically ask business questions and then other people answer those questions. I've gotten some good answers and actually made some good connections through that when I was in Africa last year. And I love going and searching through the questions. If I had more free time, I'd probably spend a lot of time on there trying to help people answer questions.
Yeah, that's a cool feature. And they have rolled out some really neat stuff. I just, it's one of those sites, and I guess I shouldn't complain because I was like this about Twitter when I first started using it. And I said, I just can't get hooked on it. And now I'm using Twitter all the time. So
when it's up.
Yeah, when it's up. But I've been on LinkedIn for a long time. And although it's great for networking, I just don't find myself drawn to the site. But hey, $1 billion. Obviously, I'm not a good judge of those things.
You need to take your career for serious, girl.
For serious, I must. Now, you have another kind of career story or employer story?
Yeah, there's a new site that's launched called Glassdoor, and I love this concept. There's actually a site called The Funded, which kind of lets people rate venture capitalists. It's for entrepreneurs. What Glassdoor does is it lets employees of companies rate things like their salary, how happy they are with their management and executives. And you can actually compare, if I'm at Microsoft, could I be making more money or would I be happier with my job at Google or Yahoo or vice versa even? So it's really interesting to see how that all plays out.
That's really interesting. I mean, it's almost one of those things where it's going to be kind of full disclosure for companies out there. If people are talking about their experiences, their salaries, and all that information becomes really transparent, it's going to kind of change the nature, I think, of how we get jobs and where we want to work. And, we're not going to want to work for those companies anymore that don't treat their employees well or don't.
Well, and that's always been the promise of social networking and social media, was that we'd be able to form connections that are horizontal versus the vertical connections of big business. And I think it takes a site like this to push that forward.
I think you're right.
So kudos to you guys.
Kudos.
Hi, I'm Jeff MacArthur, and on this week's Tech Tips, I'm going to talk about a very important part of your computer setup: surge protection. A surge protector is a device located between your electronic equipment and your wall plug to protect your devices from electrical surges. Higher quality surge protectors may also include protection for telephone and cable connections, which is important because surges can come through these lines as well. In fact, it's important that all the interconnected pieces of equipment in your setup, for example your home theater system, are surge protected, as just one unprotected device can transmit a surge through the entire system. So you're not protected unless it's all protected. However, not all surge protectors are created equal, and this is pretty evident by the fact that their prices range from about $10 up to over $1,000 or more. For very sensitive, expensive gear, I think it's worth investing $100 or so in a good surge protector. You've probably spent a lot more than that on your equipment, and so it's worth the extra expense to protect it. So what do you look for? First, response time. This is how fast your surge protection kicks in, and it should be as low as possible. 1 nanosecond or less is good. Secondly, you want to check the clamping voltage, which is the level at which the device begins to block a surge. 400 volts should be a minimum, but 330 is actually better. Thirdly, you want to have a high energy dissipation. That's how much energy can be absorbed before the surge protector fails. This time, higher is better, and it should be at least 200 to 400 joules, preferably 600 or more, and if you can get 900 joules or more, that would be ideal. Then there's a few other little things to make sure of. For instance, an indicator light. Because surge protection equipment can wear down after repeated surges that you may not even notice, an indicator light is necessary to make sure that everything is still functioning properly and your equipment is still protected. You should also check out your connected equipment warranty to make sure that satisfies your requirements. And there's a lot of small print there, but just see if it works for you. It's best to get equipment with a UL rating on the back, indicating that the underwriters' laboratories have tested the product for safety. Finally, you could consider getting a whole house surge protector as another level of protection. This can cost as little as $150 to $300, and it's basically something that's installed at your meter or service panel by an electrician and gives you that added comfort that the surge may not even have to make it to your dedicated surge protector for your equipment, which is great. That's all for this week. I'm Jeff MacArthur. Enjoy.
Yes, the peaks of the house are key.
I haven't installed it yet.
How would you describe Firefox 3 in 5 words or less?
Firefox 3 in 5 words or less. It's better than Internet Explorer. Fast. It's got a really cute back button. Awesome.
Faster and uses less RAM.
Yours.
Giving bloggers a big hug.
Ours.
Best web browsing experience ever.
Secure.
Super delicious, open source awesomeness. How's that?
I have 2 on each wrist, actually.
I know nothing about computers.
If I code, I'll break my head bone. So come on and let me know. Should I sleep or should I code?
Holy crap, we shipped it.
So now it's time for our Bonza Web Picks of the Week. What do you have this week, Amber?
Well, I just say this is a bit of a tease for a little bit of Australian content that we have after the show. You'll see that later.
Some sort of blooper?
Maybe. As for my web pick this week, it is a video documentary about Tumblr, and it's very, very funny. So for anyone who has a Tumblr or has used Tumblr, it's an opportunity for you to easily post stuff to the web, really simple. You don't have to write a lot of content necessarily. You post photos or videos or text, and what someone's done, they created this documentary about people who use Tumblr. Now, I don't want to insult people who use the service, but let's just say they make them out to be kind of annoying hipsters, and the video is very funny.
They would fit in well on Queen Street West here in Toronto?
Yes, they would. They're major, major hipsters. So you need to watch the documentary. And Will?
I'm not cool enough to be on Tumblr, so I'm actually, my web pick this week is called Evernote, which is probably the coolest thing I've seen on the web in a year, maybe longer.
Ooh.
Basically, the idea is to be a backup for your brain, and it's this site that has a desktop client and web clipper thing all built in, and you basically save everything you want. And you can actually take a picture, like with your phone, of something, it'll read the text, and then you can search for it later. So you could take a picture of a label, like the example he uses, like the label of a bottle of sake. Mm-hmm. He takes a picture of it, he wants to remember what kind of sake it is, he searches for sake, finds it later, and then goes and buys it.
Very cool. I have to try that out. It's totally free, I'm guessing.
Yeah. There's like an upgrade plan they'll do later or whatever, but I think it's going to be worth it.
The basic version is completely free. You know, Will, I was just thinking there's a giant freight elevator behind us, and if we were really cool and we wanted to be very TV, we would have gotten in the elevator, we would have risen to the 3rd floor, gotten walked out, and started the show like that, because that's so TV.
That's for pros. I think amateurs don't know how to do that. I'd like trip coming out of the elevator.
That will never happen. All right, now remember, if you have any comments, you can leave them at commandN.tv. There's lots of conversations going there all the time. Oh, and I also want to mention, if you want to buy a commandN t-shirt, you can check out our blog at commandN.tv, and you can click on the little commandN superhero logo, and you can buy yourself a t-shirt.
It's 3 monthly installments of $99.95, folks.
It all goes to Will. As for his t-shirt, it's a little harder to get, I think.
Just ask Reddit. Maybe that'd be nice. I don't know. Sorry, guys.
All right, thanks for watching, and have a great week. Okay, so we spontaneously added a little segment at the end here. It's kind of a spin-off, or maybe we're stealing The Hour, which is a show on CBC in Canada, where they have this segment called, Will?
Best story ever.
But ours is going to be the best Canadian story. We want to introduce Raj. Hi, Raj.
Hi.
And he's just moved to Toronto from Australia, and he's a commandN viewer. And we're looking for your best Canadian story ever.
Okay, well, it's pretty short and sweet. I didn't bring any stuff for my feet. So I went to a store and walked into Sears, one of the big stores here, and asked for a thong. Well, I asked for a pair of thongs, actually. And, well, it turns out that thong wasn't quite what I thought of, and I actually meant to ask for flip-flops.
Oh, that's very embarrassing.
It was, just a tad.
Just a tad. Okay, so now that we put you through that embarrassing moment, we have to let you plug one website.
Okay, well, one website that's close to my heart because I'm diabetic is one that I look after myself. It's called Diabetic Days at diabeticdays.com. And it's a service that allows diabetics to monitor their blood sugar levels from wherever they are using text messaging or email or mobile devices to submit their levels. So, yeah,
All right.
Cool.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.